Hey guys, Matthew here with Noir Road. I'm coming to you from the comforts of my bathroom with the amazing acoustics that a bathroom contains. So today I'm getting ready for work, and a couple of questions that I get from people is, what makeup do you use and how do you do your makeup? Especially being a guy with facial hair, it can be a little bit tricky, or some people think it's a little bit tricky, especially when you get to the beard line, because you think, oh, it's going to be too rough or it's going to be hurt. It doesn't hurt. It actually just blends right in, and I do a couple different tricks for that, just to help blend it in so it doesn't look like a harsh line. I know some guys will go in and etch like their facial hair in there. It's not something I do. I prefer a little bit more of a natural transition from my skin to facial hair. So let's get started. I need my coffee first. One thing you'll notice about me, I have a lot of like Halloween mugs. I love Halloween mugs regardless of what time of the year it is. It can be Hanukkah, it can be Passover, it can be whatever, and I'll always have my Halloween mug. I do have one that scares a lot of people, actually. Is Dracula, and I love it. I love vampires, and you know, those of you who know me, I love very spooky things. So anyway, I put my contacts in. I got them from Korea, so I don't know what brand they actually are. I've had them for a couple years. It's probably about time for me to get a new pair, but I love them. The first thing I always do is I use the Aveda patchouli oil. Now I have mine in an atomizer, so that way I can just spray it on myself, or just spray it anywhere. I like using it. I have psoriasis, so I do need to use it to help calm my skin down, and it actually smells really good. It's not that hippie patchouli that you think of like incense or like Lilith Fair, but I do love it. It is very calming. I love the smell of it, and I get a lot of compliments whenever I wear it, because people are like, what are you wearing? I'm like, it's just essential patchouli oil. It's nothing extravagant. So I love using that. It really helps, set my mood when I'm getting ready for work, especially when I'm running late, which is more times than not. Anyway, sidetrack. So the first thing I always do after I do my makeup, I always wash my face. I am oily, and I am more on the red side as well, so I use the Clinique oil formula facial cleanser. It's wonderful. It has a light smell to it. I'm not a big person who likes products that have a lot of fragrance in them, because I do have a lot of skin sensitivity. And I also use the Clinique ID, which also has the cartridge for pores and texturization, which helps calm that down. Since I've been using it, I love it a lot. I do see a reduction in redness, but I still will use my makeup regimen to help combat the redness. I love this product so much. It's wonderful. There's 3 other formulas. There's 15 different combinations that you can do in it. I prefer the jelly because it is quick absorbing. So do a little bit, and you only need 1 pump. It is an insert cartridge, so you will see a little bit of the jelly with a little bit of the blue. It's not a big color change. It's just enough to do what it needs to do, and it is quite, the insert cartridge is quite concentrated. I love it a lot, and I do notice a reduction in the oil that my skin produces, or visibility of oil. The next thing I do is I use the MAC Strobe Cream. I use Peach Light and I use Pink Light depending on my mood. I will put that all over. One great tip about the Strobe Cream, it is anti-aging. I also call it the hangover moisturizer. So whenever I come home from a late night of doing shenanigans, I will literally pack it underneath my eye and then go to bed. So that way when I wake up in the morning, A, my eye is hydrated, and 2, it's glowing and I don't feel like I've been through it all. So I'll just take that all over my skin. Now, a lot of people say, well, why are you putting a strobe cream on your skin when you have oily skin? Well, the foundation I use is more of a matte finish, so I want my skin to look more skin-like versus really matted out. I don't like a matte finish on my skin, especially with larger pores, because it just emphasizes them. The foundation I use is actually Pores No More by Dr. Brandt. Hands down the best foundation for me. I mix everything together. You know, foundations, moisturizers, cocktails. And I do mix the Dr. Brandt Pores No More with the Smashbox Adjust Primer to help reduce the redness that I have on my skin. Just mix the two of them together, tap them together, and then just go to town. It does give my skin a wonderful, soft, focused look. And I do go both directions of application, one way, clockwise, counterclockwise, so that way it really gets into my pores. It doesn't emphasize my pores, which I really like. It just gets in there and settles everything down. And I mean, even with that, it looks fantastic. Just blend, blend, blend. Next thing I do is my brows, because I do like to have a little bit more of an arch of a brow. And if I can find my pencil. So I'm using Brunette. It's one of the stylers that MAC has. They have a few different styles of brow pencils. I prefer a styler just so I can get in there and change my brow shape. Thanks to the 2000s when everybody had the pencil thin eyebrows, I don't have any eyebrows that grow anymore, so I draw mine in. And which is fine, because when I do a lot of different makeup looks, as you'll see throughout my longevity here on YouTube, you will see different shapes and looks. I decided to do this one as like a little vacation from the other looks or the other videos I've been doing, because it's something that I want to add to my collection versus it being all like home and crafts and stuff like that. You will see a lot of like my makeup videos. One thing I will say about doing a brow is to do more of a brow shadow than a brow shape, because you don't want to really go in there, sculpt it, and make it too defined, especially if you're just trying to fill in a brow. You don't want to be too aggressive and too harsh, and the next thing you know, you got really harsh brows. I'm always so hiccupy when I get on here. And a great tip is to just feather motion with the styler, just so that way it creates a soft application versus just drawing it on. I will say the new formula of these stylers are fantastic. They don't break off. I haven't noticed them breaking off at all from the beginning, but some people say that they do break. But, you know, whatever. So whenever I fill my brows and actually start, you know, obviously where it's supposed to go, I do have two different brow shapes. One's a little bit longer than the other. I have 101 different brushes too. I think I got that one from the Face Shop. The Face Shop is, as far as I know, only in Korea. So they're similar to the Body Shop. Actually, that makes sense. And it's a concealer brush that I love, and I've been using it for years and years, and it does what it needs to do. And it's actually one of those brushes I look forward to whenever I look at my makeup bag. I'm like, where are you? Then it's been with me for so long that it's like your best friend almost. I think we all have like that favorite brush that we're like looking for, and if we don't find it, it's like our day's ruined. My day's wrecked. Feather, feather, feather. For me, as a guy who wears makeup, I don't like to do, I mean, it's going to be a contradiction. I don't like to do too much of perfecting. I just like it to be polished. And it's just a personal preference. I know guys who do very polished and very perfected makeup, and that's great. But I'm a little bit more on the rugged side. And for me to do a very perfected look would just be too disconnected from my personality and my image. So I just like it a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more rugged. Next, so I'm going to go in with my concealer. I use actually I use 3 different concealers. One I've had for a millennia. It's, I think, Maybelline, and it's just one of these little pan stick concealers. It's really harsh. It's really thick, but a little goes a long way. And I don't even know what brush this is either. I'm like a brush addict. If I see a brush, I absolutely need it. Mainly because when I try to justify it by saying that I do a lot of fashion shows, so for me to buy another brush, I don't need to clean my brushes as often because I have more to replace it. But I have a little jar full of brushes. I think at one time I counted all my brushes, and I think I had over like 700 makeup brushes. I think that's a problem. But whatever. You only live once, well, I think you only live once. So next we're gonna go in with the MAC Studio Fix 24-Hour Wear Concealer. A little goes a long way. I never use my Doto. Actually goes in with my concealer brush. And just apply it. I'm not a fan, and I will say, anytime I do a makeup application, I don't use a sponge. I think they're disgusting. A lot of people say, oh, I clean it all the time, and you know, this, that, and the other. I'm like, that's fine, you know, do whatever you have to do, but I just prefer to use brushes. It's a little bit more luxurious. I just think that foundations or foundation sponges are the most expensive sponge you own in the house because it absorbs so much. And a lot of people will say, oh no, they don't absorb. I'm like, no, they do. It's a sponge. So I like to pull mine quite out. And then feather out onto my cheekbone. I do have a rather high cheekbone already, and I like to emphasize that. Thank you, genetics. Looks so good. And anytime I do a makeup application on a guest, I always tell them to pounce your foundation or your concealer onto your skin versus wiping, because you don't want to aggravate the skin. Especially with me, because my skin's so red to begin with that any touch makes it more red. So the less red you make it, because you won't have to apply as much product on there. And be intentional with it. Looks so good. Now here's where I get into my beard. I'll take whatever's left on my brush and do circular motions. Because later when I go to do my lips, I need it to be blanked out underneath here. So next I'm going to go in with my mineralized powder. I use Light Plus. I will say, especially being somebody who's oily, using a full coverage foundation and then using a full coverage powder is not the best option for you unless you want to touch up throughout the day. The mineralized powder is really nice because it's a gel-based formula, and it's also going to help hydrate your skin throughout the day. Especially if you are on the oilier side, you need that extra hydration without it being so dry. I have found in my experience using the Studio Fix foundation from MAC as well as the Studio Fix powder is so drying and so cakey. It absorbs so much of my oil that my skin actually produces more oil, and then it just looks really pancakey. So using the mineralized foundation, I find like it gives me more of a flawless finish and it looks absolutely fantastic. So the next thing I do, and so I've created my own little palette. I've gotten one of the MAC Pro palettes, really inexpensive, and I just get all the inserts. So I love to contour with a color called Croquette, and it's this top color right here. It's more of a green base. Because I am red, anything about color theory, you know that green and red neutralize each other. So I use that as my contour. And I'm using the MAC 159 foundation brush just to contour in there. And I love to do circular motions just so that way it gets all up in there. Whatever's left on my brush, getting that hairline. So I do have a big forehead with receding hair because I'm almost 40. And mortal ears. Then I'm going to go in with my Smashbox brush. So I like to do all the colors together. Like if I'm using a shadow, one shadow I'll use it for, all over. And I'm pretty simple when it comes to colors because I don't like to do a lot of dramatic colors every day. So I'm a multi-purpose guy. Let's see, what else? So the next I'm going to go in with Nylon. Anyone who knows anything about Nylon, it's a beautiful highlighter as well. I actually pack it out here on my eyes so I can give a beautiful highlight to my cheeks. And then on the inner corner of my eye to really waken me up. Look at that. The concealer is really nice too because it's a self-setting concealer, so you don't really need to put anything on top of it. But because I live in a humid climate, I like to put a little bit something on top of it. So using the Nylon is really nice to really open the eye up. And it just looks gorgeous. I mean, who doesn't want to look more awake? So then I'm going to go in with Soft and Gentle, also from MAC. It's my favorite highlighter. I use it pretty much for everything. So from here, I'm just going to blend, 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 blend. And it knocks down that contour too. Look at that. So now I'm going to use taupe and just windshield wiper back and forth with Croquette and Nylon, and I'm using the 286 brush just to blend together. It's a beautiful brush and just does everything for you. So I do go in next with the Studio Fix foundation as a sculpting agent, or as a sculpting powder, and this is an NW30, just to warm me up. I don't like to use a lot of blush or bronzer, so I just use a darker shade of foundation. In MAC foundation, I am in NW15. I also go to N5, depending on my mood. I like a little bit cooler tone. I'm next using the NARS mascara. This is probably my favorite mascara that's come out on the market lately. I've tried mascaras from every brand, I feel, and I've got a huge box of it, and every time I go through the mascaras, I always revert back to the Climax. It is a fantastic mascara, especially if you have a lot of products that are black. You can find this. What I love about this is a really gel formula, and I'll tell you what, this a little goes a long way. My lashes are so fantastic. I do have pretty long lashes to begin with, but this does an amazing job. The motion I do is I put it in the lash line and I go back and forth. I mean, look at that. That's like what, 2.5 coats? I use it a lot for fashion shows and they look so phenomenal. The black is really rich. Love it. So the next step that I love to do is my lip. I do use the Lip Tensity line from MAC. They do still have some products in circulation. I don't know if they have this one as of now, but this one's my favorite one. It's called Enoki. It's a gray lavender color. I love gray cool tones, so when this first came out, I bought up this one, and then there's like another one called Galaxy Gray, which is fantastic. It is a long wear. It is fantastic because once you put it on, it's on there for pretty much the rest of the day. I do like it because of that, and I don't have to retouch throughout. I do like a little definition, so I'm going to go in with MAC's Stone. Just a little definition on the outer corner to create more of a pout. Going in with my favorite complementary lipstick to the Enoki. It's called Driftwood. I love a blanked out lip. It looks so fantastic. And then last but not least, I'm using Spite. Beautiful lip gloss. And that, I'm done. What do you guys think? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.